I'm sure you've heard by now, we have a primetime exclusive, one of the secret recordings of President Trump, taped by his former longtime lawyer, Michael Cohen. In the audio, you can hear Trump back in 2016 discussing arrangements surrounding a payment to a former Playboy playmate named Karen McDougal. That payment was made by a third party. So here is the relevant part of the audio that is the subject of much dispute between the two sides.
And I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to pay?
Funding. Yes. And it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be.
Gets it, but
Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no.
So there's a big dispute about, is the president or then citizen Donald Trump telling his lawyer pay cash, and Cohen is saying no, and then Trump says pay with a check, or what the president Trump legal team says is that he said don't pay by cash and pay by check. Now, this is all happening in real time, and Alan Futterfuss, who's a lawyer with the Trump Organization, sent a response. Who's ever telling Lanny Davis, counsel to Michael Cohen, who gave us the recording, that cash in the conversation refers to green currency is lying to him. There's no transaction done in currency. It doesn't happen. The whole deal never happened. That's true. There was no transaction to our knowledge. It never happened, this payment of buying things back from the National Enquirer, their parent company. If it was going to happen, it would be a payment to a large company that would obviously be accompanied by an agreement of sale. Maybe, maybe not. Those documents would be prepared by lawyers on both sides. Same concern. The suggestion that the cash in the conversation refers to green currency is false. All right, listen to this. Not just ridiculous, it's false. The word cash came up in the context of the distinction between financing, which is referenced, and no financing, which means a full payment, a total one-time payment. That's the context in which the word cash is used. Anyone who knows anything about the company or how the president does business knows there is no green cash. Everything is documented. Every penny is documented. We'd know a lot more about that if we'd seen the president's taxes. But what they're saying is, the Trump org is saying, cash was like a term of art. Meaning, are we going to finance over time or give a one-time payment? The president wasn't talking about paying with cash to make it harder to track such a transaction. What do you think? That's up to you. Now let's bring in the great debaters, Angela Rye and David Urban. Angela, when I say cash, I don't mean green money. I mean a method of financing. And this is proof of the president wanting to do it the right way, even if his lawyer had other ideas. Do you accept that reckoning of the tape?
Chris, I said would not. I can't with these folks. Like, it is an ongoing cast of shady characters, of which Michael Cohen has just been summarily dismissed. I have problems as an attorney. I have problems with the fact that he's recorded a conversation. I have problems with the fact that there's even some discussion about how to set up some type of corporation to pay for a story that exists with Donald Trump's friends. I was reading earlier about AMI and National Enquirer and the fact that one of their very senior editors said that there wasn't a single story published in the National Enquirer that they didn't get Donald Trump's approval for when it was about him. That is the problem. The focus on cash versus check, I can tell you myself, I heard you say this in the last segment. I heard Donald Trump say check at the end. I did hear that. I'm not going to lie. I don't have to lie to kick it, Craig. You know why? Because Donald Trump lies enough for himself every single day. I'm not calling you Craig. It's a line from a movie, Chris. I just think eyebrows I'll go up. However, okay, you're hip. But however, I think the most important thing that we have here is there is a playmate named Karen McDougal who he denied having any interaction with, any sexual relationship with. We've heard this before. It was from a Democratic president. His name was Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
All right, but this is a little bit of a different scenario. And the point of the tape, Dave, from Lanny Davis, counsel for Michael Cohen's perspective, is the idea that the president, then private citizen Donald Trump, didn't know anything about the arrangements surrounding the payment to McDougal, which we'd been told, at least by Hope Hicks, and what we heard on Air Force One, is not true, that he was familiar with the arrangement. And the second one is the idea that it was Cohen pushing a cash payment is not true. It was Trump.
So Chris, look, I agree with Angela as well as with the august legal panel you had on before this. Michael Cohen's taping of his client, his surreptitious taping of his client, is not illegal, but it's clearly unethical. And if Lanny Davis thinks that somehow this is exculpatory and it shows that Michael Cohen is somehow the victim here, I think it's going to backfire on him.
Well, it's about truth. Who do you think's telling the truth?
Well, Chris, look, this is as was said earlier in the earlier segment. Truth is Aristotelian. There's no Aristotelian truth in this sense, right? This is going to be a Rorschach test. This recording, as somebody said earlier. Trump detractors are going to hear what they want to hear. Trump supporters are going to hear what they want to hear. You'll have a bunch of forensic audiologists juice this tape, cut it, play it 1,000 different ways, and you're going to hear what you want to hear in the tape. And to your point.
But at the end of the day, Dave, do you believe that the president was aware that his lawyer was setting up a corporation to buy back a bunch of assets from the parent company, the Inquirer?
So Chris, I listened to this tape for the first time about 15 minutes ago on this show. It's pretty garbled. I've tried to, follow the bouncing ball through this all. I can't tell you what I believe at this point because I can't hear it. I can't, intelligibly hear what's being said.
Let's listen to it again to help Dave.
Yeah, you can play it slow. Play it slow.
I'll just play it how it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to pay?
funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff. All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be.
Gets hit by it.
Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay the cash.
No. I got no.
Now that you've heard it, Dave,
okay.
do you believe the president was familiar with what Cohen was talking about, or do you think this was a first impression?
No, I don't think this is the first discussion that was had on the topic. I do.
Well, that's a problem, isn't it?
You kind of made your point there about the financing part. I just heard it again where Michael Cohen talks about financing, and the president says, "What financing? We need to, we're not going to finance this." So look, it's all about intent. It's about what the party's intended here. You don't know. It's a piece of the puzzle. As former AG Cuccinelli said, this is a snapshot of one conversation had at one time, taken out of context.
All right.
And listen, Chris. Even if you assume that all these things are true in this tape, there was nothing done that was illegal. You said there was no payment made.
I don't think it's about a crime.
There was no payment made.
I don't think
no
that's the
impeachable
bar.
offense.
I don't think we can allow that as a bar for behavior in our society. That felonies and below are okay.
No,
I just
not
think
felonies
people
below.
can
This isn't
hear
even a
it,
misdemeanor.
and they're going
It's
to
not
make
even a
judgments.
misdemeanor.
Right.
It's not a speeding ticket.
I'm saying I don't think that criminal conduct is the bar for responsible behavior.
It didn't even occur, Chris. It didn't occur.
Well, there was no transaction done. There was no transaction affected.
So there's a discussion about something that may or may not.
But I got to go.
No, listen, wait, hear me out. There's a discussion about something that may or may not have happened.
No, there's a discussion about something that certainly happened. There was not a cash transaction for the assets for various reasons.
So a discussion about something that may...
Right, but it's just about who's telling the truth about the situation, who isn't. Last point, Angela, then I got to go.
There are also crimes that exist based on the planning of doing and committing a worse offense.
Of course there are. Of course there are.
Yeah, so let's be clear that discussions are also damning too. So this is a damning discussion.
But nothing occurred. Even Chris admits it. Nothing occurred.
No.
But it's not about...
But he knows... Something did occur. He had sex and a relationship with this woman, and they were planning off how to pay her for the story and her silence.
You don't know that from this conversation?
Oh, come on. Whether the payment happened or not, whether the payment happened or not, what we know is that he lied.
Let's leave it there.
Every day.
I think there are credibility issues. We'll see what people decide about it. You don't have to commit a crime to be judged in terms of the content of your behavior as a leader. That's all I'm saying. Dave, I know you agree with that. Angela, thank you very much. Appreciate both. Angela Rye, David Urban.